The month of May brings several welcome sights in Vincennes: warmer temperatures, blooming trees, and reenactors from the Revolutionary War. I'm here today with Mark Hill and Squire Tom Gillingham, town crier, to talk about this year's rendezvous.
Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay. An open invitation is offered by the Spirit of Vincennes Rendezvous Committee to all citizens of the area and extended far and wide to our neighbors of the region for your attendance at the two-day Spirit of Vincennes Rendezvous, an annual celebration to take place on the 23rd and 24th of this month of May in this the year of our Lord 2026. Friends shall gather at the French Commons area along the banks of the mighty Wabash in the city of Vincennes, the county of Knox, the state of Indiana, to enjoy battle reenactments, the finest samples of period cuisine, and a glorious rearward journey to the mind to days long past. Arts, crafts, games, music, and demonstrations of the time shall be the order of the day at the 49th annual rendezvous, as we also revel and toast the 250th anniversary of the birth of our great nation. Be it so decreed by the Spirit of Vincennes Rendezvous Committee and its president, the Honorable Debbie Dunn, on this 7th day of May in the year of our Lord 2026. Entrance badges are now available at a number of fine local banking establishments, at the gate on the day of the event, or by way of your internet provider of choice. Oh yay.
Well, yeah, I think that pretty much, that says it all. That's it. Right? That's the whole interview, because I think that covered it all. No, so this is the 250th anniversary of America, or birthday, however you want to call it. What's that mean special for the rendezvous this year?
Well, so that is our theme, and so one of the things that we wanted to take a look at for our festival itself was what were people in Vincennes doing, especially the French and the Native Americans that were living here, sort of hearing about this declaration and what that meant. And the French, for example, had sworn allegiance to Canada and to France, and then to the British when they took over Vincennes. And so they were really oftentimes like fish out of water. They had to flop back and forth. And so this was a challenging time for them, and also the natives in this area that were mostly peaceful with the French settlers. Okay,
and what's the schedule of events this year?
So we are, our opening starts at 9 o'clock on Saturday, the 23rd, and runs until 6 p.m. And those are Eastern Standard Times, of course. And then Sunday we start a little bit later at 10 and run till 5. So we have battle reenactments twice a day during the event. And as Squire Tom mentioned, we have ample food that's served really throughout the day. You can have breakfast, lunch, and supper at the rendezvous with food that's cooked over an open fire. Roving entertainment that happens throughout the grounds, as well as stage entertainment. So we like to think of ourselves as being for kids from 8 to 80. You have something to do for children and adults of all ages.
Okay, and I know it's very period accurate. And so there's a video that you're wanting people to watch, right? And it's going to be outside of the grounds. So tell me a little bit about that.
Correct. So last year during our event, a group called Finding Festivals that's associated with the PBS station in Ohio wanted to film something for their program, which is now in its second year. And so they wanted to film something that would be about the 250th celebration of our country. So they came and filmed the rendezvous. And so the premiere of that is actually going to happen on Summer on Main Street, which is June 26th. And that theme is really leading into the 4th of July weekend. So it's kind of Vincennes' big 4th of July party. So we're going to be upstairs in the Pantheon, in the balcony, premiering that episode of Finding Festivals. And then it'll be showed continuously then all throughout that evening, which is from about 6 to 10.
Right, and that's going to show everybody kind of a glimpse of the rendezvous of an outsider's point of view,
Exactly,
which should be interesting, right? Because I think if you live here, you've been to it since you've been growing up, it's kind of like, oh, this is the same stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But kind of seeing someone else come through and get to experience it for the first time, I think that'll be a really fun.
And it's kind of, the other unique thing is this year we have a group from Germany that contacted us and want to do the same thing. They contacted and wanted to be a part of the festival, and they're stationed in Washington, D.C., but they run a Today Show-like event in Germany, and so they are embedding one of their reporters in a battle. So Frank Doofman has worked with them and one of our local units, so they'll actually be fighting the battle and filming it again and showing that in Europe.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The reenactments, you kind of mentioned it, and you mentioned the reenactors. How far do they come from? Where do these people come from?
From about an 8-state area. You know, we have a lot of folks that come here from Illinois and Michigan and Wisconsin, Iowa, Kentucky, and some even travel farther than that. And this group called Northwest Territory Alliance do festivals like ours from basically Memorial Day or about that until Labor Day. And so we're one of the first events that they do. And what's most unique for them is this is an actual battlefield. So this is sacred ground for them, and they represent their troops to the nth degree, to the buttons, to everything they wear, including their family members, their children that stay with them in the encampment. And they're in period clothing and behavior the whole weekend.
Right, and like you said, they stay the night, right, in tents, and they stay right there. It doesn't matter if it's freezing or 90 degrees, right?
And they have campfires going, and they play music in the evening. It's fun to walk through there at night, especially with all the lanterns lit up. And then we do have evening events that take place at the state historic sites on Saturday night. So we have free tours of Grouseland and the state historic buildings under candlelight. And then we have Dennis Stromat, who plays Creole Cajun music there on the porch. So it's a free event that's a part of the rendezvous itself.
Okay. And Ron, what is the role of the town crier throughout this whole weekend?
Well, the town crier actually dates back to Europe hundreds of years. And today there are still many towns that continue the tradition and actually have a town crier spreading the news of the day. I had asked, okay, when they needed a volunteer to be the town crier, and I'm like, yeah, I've done just a little bit about everything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I can take on that role. I asked Frank Doofman, I said, am I the town crier from 1779, or am I the town crier of present-day Vincennes, and in the rendezvous? And he says, you're a little bit of both. He said, you make it what you want. So I'm really looking forward to that and kind of making it my own. And I'll just be wandering, and I may have a particular place where I'm going to stand and give proclamations, but everything will be covered. The news of the day, whether it be today in Vincennes or 200 some colonial Vincennes. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I've already made up several of these scrolls, and I've got a lot more to go.
Yeah.
So,
and when you think about it, our event, we do use speakers on our stage and also on the battlefield so people can hear descriptions of what's going on during the event, but the rest of the grounds really is microphone free.
Yes.
So you are the voice of the rendezvous.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I found a really loud bell, and I'll be using it. And I hope Saturday night I'm barely able to talk, but Sunday morning I'll be right back
You'll
at
regenerate.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to this year's event a lot more than most. I mean, I've been involved as a volunteer for a little over 10 years now, and
we finally got him to dress up.
Finally got me to dress up last year, and I was treasurer for a long time, where I would just show up and I was like, I'm not going to dress up, but I really enjoy it now and look forward to it. I also, just so you know, there's people, not just the reenactors, there's visitors to the event who they look forward to it every year. They come down. I know a couple from northern Wisconsin who drive down every year and have for, longer than I've been going. And just, they just come down and they just enjoy it. We also have several merchants who this is their only event. Some of them, this and maybe another are the only events they do because they just really enjoy what the rendezvous has to offer.
So I wanted to make a point about Tom's outfit. He has a beautifully embroidered vest that actually belonged to our original marketing director, Marshall Miller, who's long passed now, but he was one of the original 5 founding members of our event. I thought that was a great tribute to Marshall
it's
and
an honor
to our history.
to wear it. It really is. Because it takes me back to the days, when it began. I was in high school, and really didn't know much where my life was going. But I'm glad it ended up here.
Yeah. Right, yeah. And you're talking about volunteering. If someone is watching this and wants to get involved in volunteering for the Rendezvous, how do they get a hold of you guys?
If they go to our website at thespiritofvincennes.org, we have a list of different groups. We're a festival that's run by committees. So we have entertainment committee, we have a battle committee, we have an attendance committee, and Debbie Dunn, our president, and her husband Nash have run that for a while, and that's an area we always need help in. So there's a place on there where you can contact us, and also you can call the Visitors Bureau. I get messages from them all the time about people that have contacted us and want to volunteer.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, there's a little something for everybody. I mean, whether it's showing up on a Saturday in April or May to prepare the grounds, or we could use a marketing committee person, someone who has a niche for something like that. There's something for everyone. Anybody who wants to volunteer and you're looking for a good way to give back to the community, the Rendezvous is a tremendous way.
We have a group of
we meet once a month.
Yeah, yes, our committee meets all year round, so it does take a year for us to prepare, and we'll be thinking about what next year's Rendezvous looks like. We already have the theme for next year, and so we'll be able to focus more specifically about that. But we're constantly looking for ways to improve the event.
Okay, well, thank you both so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And we will see you at the 2026 Rendezvous on May 23rd.